Hello, Gaudi class. Today, we're going to be looking at Neil Armstrong's life in more detail. Over the next few lessons, we're going to be putting together a biography. So you're going to need the timeline you made in the last lesson and keep it somewhere safe for the next few lessons. So we're going to be looking at the order of events in his life in chronological order. First, we're going to play a true or false game based on Neil Armstrong's life to see what you can remember from our last lesson. So what I'd like you to do for this bit is stand up, okay? And we're going to do some different actions depending on whether you think something is true or false. So the first question, Neil Armstrong was born in 1930. If you think that's true, then I want you to run to that side of the screen. If you think it was true, he was born in 1930. If you think it's false and he wasn't born in 1930, then I want you to run to that side of the screen. The answer is true. Well done if you ran to that side of the screen. Next question. From a very young age, let me move my face out of your way. From a very young age, Neil Armstrong had a passion for flying. So if you think that's true, I want you to do aeroplane actions in the air. And if you think it's false, I want you to sit with your arms folded. Okay? So if you think he had a passion for flying, then I want you to do plane movements. And if you don't think he had a passion for flying, you can just sit. And the answer is true. So I'm hoping that you're all standing there doing your plane movements. Next question. By his 50th birthday, he had become a licensed pilot. So if you think that by his 15th birthday he'd become a licensed pilot, I want you to do a pilot salute. Okay. And if you don't think he'd become a pilot by his 15th birthday, then I want you to do a funny face for me. Okay. So if you think he'd become a pilot by his 15th birthday, then do a salute. And if you don't think he had, then do a funny face. And you should have been doing a funny face because it wasn't his 15th birthday, it was his 16th birthday. That's a bit of a mean one, but he'd become a pilot by his 16th birthday. Next question. Neil Armstrong served in the Korean War in 1950. So he was a pilot in the army or in the Air Force when America went to war with Korea. So if you think that that's true, then I want you to stand up very tall like a soldier. And if you think it's false, then I want you to be floppy like a rag doll. You can't see my floppy because you can only see my head, but I'm being floppy. So if you think it's true and he served in the Korean War, you're going to stand up tall like a soldier. And if you don't think it's true, then you're going to be all floppy like a rag doll. And you should have been standing up tall like a soldier because he did serve in the Air Force. Next question. Neil Armstrong joined the space program in 1970, and I want you to think really carefully about when man first stepped on the moon, okay? Think about when it was that Neil Armstrong actually went to the moon. So do you think he joined the space program in 1970? If you think he did join the space program in 1970, then I want you to blast off your rocket. You remember that from our story map. Blast off your rocket. If you think he joined the space program in 1970, and if you don't think he joined the space program in 1970, then you can just put your hands flat. Okay, so he joined it in 1970 or he didn't join it in 1970. And you should have flat hands because he joined it before 1970. He can't have joined it in 1970. He walked on the moon in 1969, so that was beforehand. So he actually joined it in 1962. Okay. And again, my head is in your way. So oh, that wasn't right. No matter where I put my head, I'm going to be in your way. Let's go right to the top of the screen now. So Neil Armstrong commanded the spacecraft named Diamond 8. Okay, so if you think that's true and he commanded the spacecraft Diamond 8, I want you to make a diamond with your fingers. So if you think it's true, you're going to make a diamond. And if you don't think it's true, then you can make an 8. Okay, so if you think it's true, he commanded the spaceship, the Diamond 8, you can make a diamond. And if you think he didn't command the spaceship, the Diamond 8, or it wasn't called the Diamond 8, then you can hold up 8 fingers. And you should be holding up your 8 fingers, because actually it was the Gemini 8 that was his first command, not the Diamond 8, the Gemini 8. Next question. Neil Armstrong completed his degree in 1955. So he studied aeronautical engineering at university. He looked at how planes are built and how they fly, the science behind how they actually stay in the sky. I don't think I want somebody to tell me that. I think I'd be very scared if I actually knew how planes stayed in the sky. So Neil Armstrong completed his degree in 1955. If you think that's true, you're going to give him a round of applause for completing his degree. And if you think it's false, then you're going to boo him. Boo. Okay. And you should have been cheering, because he did complete his degree in 1955. Next question. Neil Armstrong was the first man to set foot on the moon in 1979, and I've already told you this one. So were you listening to me? If you think he was the first man to set foot on the moon in 1979, I want you to take one enormous step. One giant leap, because that's what he said, wasn't it? One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. So if you think he was the first man to step foot on the moon and he did that in 1979, one giant leap. And if you think it wasn't, if you think that's false, then I want one little step, one small step for man. So either one giant leap for mankind or one little step, small step for man. And you should have taken one small step, because the first lunar landing was 1969, not 1979. These are very tricky questions. Okay. It took 3 days to travel to the moon from Earth during the Apollo 11 mission. So they took off from Earth and they were in space traveling to the moon for 3 days. If you think that's true, then I want you to sleep, because you'd be very tired after 3 days. You can even do some snoring. So if you think it took 3 days to travel to the moon, then snore away. And if you think it didn't take that long, or it took longer, then I want you to sit in your rocket ship shaking. Can you sit in your rocket ship shaking? Okay, so you're either sleeping if you think that's true, or you're sitting in your rocket ship shaking if you think that's false. And it's actually true, so you should be sleeping. Cool. Neil Armstrong died on the 25th of August 2020. That would mean he just died this summer before you started year 2. So did Neil Armstrong just die in this summer, or did he die before that? So if you think Neil Armstrong died on the 25th of August 2020, I want you to cry. It's very sad he died. So if you think he died in this summer, then I want you to cry. And if you think he died before that, then I want you to snivel. Okay, so are you boo-hooing, or are you sniveling? So true, and false. And you should be sniveling, because he actually died 8 years ago on the 25th of August 2012. So now we've played our game, we're going to have a look at what a biography is. And what's really important about a biography is the order it's written in. And it's written in chronological order. So can you turn to your toy, your teddy, your adult, whoever is in the room with you, whatever is in the room with you, and tell them what you think chronological order is. And hold that thought, because we're going to come back to that in a minute. So a biography is a descriptive book based on a real person's life. So it's a story written about someone real by someone else. So this book we've got here is a book about Neil Armstrong called First Man. And this one is written by James R. Hansen. There's his name there, the author's name. So it wasn't written by Neil Armstrong, it was written by somebody else about the life of Neil Armstrong. So just pause the video and turn to your partner, Teddy, grown up, and tell them why you think people would write biographies. I think they write them because we're interested in how other people live. And if it's someone famous, then we can find out what they did and maybe we can follow in their footsteps. So biology is written in chronological order, and I asked you what chronological order meant. And it just means that it starts from the first key event, the key event that took place first in that person's life, to the one that took place last. So it's written in the order that events happened. So similar to the timeline we did yesterday, but written as a book. So today what we're going to do is we're going to start planning our very own biography based on Neil Armstrong's life. Now, don't worry, today's lesson is the simple one. You're going to enjoy this and don't need to do a lot of work. So we're going to be using our timeline from yesterday's lesson to help us, but we don't actually need that today, so just keep that somewhere safe. So let's have a look at the key events that happened in Neil Armstrong's life. We've got his birth in 1930, the fact he became a licensed pilot in 1947, he flew in the Korean War in 1950, he finished his aeronautical degree in 1955. And that's kind of important because that's why he got into the space program, because he knew about how planes and flight and space worked. So his first flight in 1966 was on the Gemini 8. He joined the NASA space program in 1962. Those two are the wrong way around. That should be before that one. He walked on the moon in 1969 and he died in 2012, which is what we just talked about. So, your challenge. The only difference between challenge 1 and challenge 2 today is the amount of pieces of paper you need. So, if you are doing challenge 1 and you want your life to be a little bit easier, then you need 3 pieces of paper right now. And if you want to make your life a little bit harder, you need some 4 pieces of paper. So I'm going to ask you to please go and get those right now. So now you get me in my full glory. So once you've got your paper, what I need you to do is I need you to carefully fold them in half so that it looks like a book. Okay, that's what you got to do. Fold your paper. So if you've got 3 pieces of paper, you folded them in half, or 4 pieces of paper, it doesn't matter, just fold them in half. And then what you're going to do is you are going to decorate the front of your book. That is your job for today. You're going to write the title. So the title is the name of the person we're writing our book about, Neil Armstrong. You're going to write who the book's by, the author, and that is you. So this one's by Mrs. Gabella. And then you can do a picture on the front. So I've drawn an astronaut. You could, if you wanted to, find a picture of Neil Armstrong and cut it out and stick it on. You could try and draw a picture of Neil Armstrong, or you can just draw a picture of an astronaut. And that is your work for today. You don't need to show us that on tapestry, because over the next few days, we are going to be filling our book and writing our biography. So when it's complete, then you can show us all of it on tapestry, but you don't need to show us every page. But please, please keep that somewhere really, really safe and bring that to the next lesson with you. And you also need to bring your timeline. And I shall see you for the next lesson.